This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
The simplicity of good health starts with understanding the simplicity of how we are wonderfully made. Everybody knows that our body is supposed to be about 85% water. And as a general rule of thumb, a person can only survive without water for about 3 days. Dehydration happens quickly, causing extreme thirst, fatigue, and ultimately, organ failure and death. A person may go from feeling thirsty and slightly sluggish on the first day with no water to having organ failure by the 3rd day. But there is something that is just as important to our good health as staying hydrated. It's understanding how we are wonderfully made and then living our life according to this knowledge. So here it is. Our body is an electrical chemical factory. Every cell in our body is made up of trillions of atoms. For this discussion, there are basically only 2 types of atoms. You have atoms that have a positive electrical charge to them, which we will call the demolition and cleanup atoms. These atoms in the medical industry are called free radical atoms. When there is an overload of free radical atoms in any of our cells, they can damage every molecule in our cells, our DNA, proteins, lipids, mitochondria, and so on. To keep it simple, anything with a positive electrical charge to it is overloaded with free radical atoms. The other type of atom that makes up each and every cell has a negative electrical charge to it, and the medical industry calls these atoms anti-oxidants. To keep it simple, anything with a negative electrical charge to it is an antioxidant. It's antioxidant atoms that give every cell in your body the energy to function properly and repair any damage to your cells, tissues, and organs. It is a fact that all diseases start at the cell level, not at the organ or system level. Every cell in your body has to maintain a certain negative electrical charge to function properly. When free radicals rob the electrons out of your healthy cells, they no longer have the energy to function properly, and disease and illness will set in. Wherever the weakest cells are in your body, this and this alone will actually determine what health condition that you get. It's really that simple. Learn more by listening to this episode. Valeria interviews Philip Bresnahan. He is a clinical research analyst. 18 years ago, he was rushed to the hospital with very high blood pressure. In that same year, he was diagnosed with cancer. Philip didn't want to have a stroke and end up in a wheelchair, not being able to feed himself. He also didn't want to get cancer again and be given chemo or radiation, or die from cancer. So he spent the next 15 years being a clinical research analyst, studying what had been discovered about the root cause of practically every disease known to mankind. Philip knows that when you treat the root cause of any disease, you are giving the body what it needs to repair itself as it was designed to do. In his studies, he discovered the simplicity of how we are wonderfully made. In doing so, he also discovered the root cause of practically every disease known to mankind, even cancer. Philip now just wants to share this information with the world. Meet Philip at thediseaseeliminationspecialist.com or call him at 813-244-1135. Here's the interview with Philip Bresnahan.
In your own words, who is Philip Bresnahan?
For pretty much right now, I've been a clinical research analyst for over 18 years, because 18 years ago, I was actually rushed to the hospital with very high blood pressure. And that same year, I was diagnosed with cancer. Now, I had never been sick before, so I wanted to find out why I had these health issues. So I actually spent the next 18 years being a clinical research analyst strictly on what the root cause of diseases were. Because, like I said, I didn't want to end up in a wheelchair from a stroke from high blood pressure, and I didn't want to have to be given chemo or radiation because I got cancer again.
That's really wonderful that you went deep into it, because this is what healing is all about. It's finding the root cause of the problem, of the symptoms, right? So you did the work for all of us in a way. So I guess my other question, let's say open question for this conversation, is the idea of health. How would you define what that is? A person who is healthy. What is to be a healthy person in general?
Well, to me, like you say, you do have different types of health. You have your spiritual health and physical health. Right. But I strictly, matter of fact, I specialize in both, but my main one to help people that for this conversation is physical health. Because as long as you take care of yourself and you do what is right, you will stay healthy. But most people, because a lot of times if people get a health issue, they go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, you have that health issue or this health issue because of your diet.
Right.
Well,
right.
What does that mean? What in my diet is causing me to have cancer or diabetes? They either can't or won't explain it to people, but I do.
Yes. So we'll still try to get that answer from you. Let's see my next question, an open question. At this time, what do you feel is the world's greatest need? What do we need as human beings in general?
Well, we need to be able to have peace of mind and not have the stress that we have today to help. And this goes along with your first question. We do need both spiritual health and physical health. And spiritual health is knowing the truth. You know, when you know the truth about things, you have a calmness and you're not worried about what's going on. Like I've studied the Bible for 50 years. And because of all the stuff that's going on right now with the wars and the just crime going crazy and everything, I'm not really worried about that because I know, according to the Bible, what's getting ready to happen very soon. So it gives me peace of mind and I'm a happy person. Well, you can't be happy if you have cancer or MS or some serious health issue, you know, because especially if you're in pain. And so when you're physically healthy and spiritually healthy, then you're happy.
Yes, this is such an interesting perspective that I have lots of conversations about. And it's also my own curiosity and my love for truth. So I wonder if once we are in touch with the truth, in my case, is the realization that we never die physically. Physically, yes, but we are not just physical beings. So getting in touch with the non-physical part of me, it just made such a huge difference. And I don't know, Philip, if I was in physical pain and excruciating pain, whatever it is, I really hope in a way or trust that that truth wouldn't be lost and I would be able to let go and kind of be at peace in a way. I usually don't search for happiness, but the idea is exactly what you said before, that sense of peace, inner peace, of knowing the truth. I mean, you said it beautifully. That's exactly what I go by. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, it's it's like religion and politics. There's two things that a lot of people don't talk about. But in my case, because I've studied the Bible for 50 years, I have no problem speaking with people. But, you know, I want them to show me, if they're going by biblical truth as far as spiritual, I want them to show me what they believe and why they believe in there. Because there's so much misinformation out there that it actually ends up hurting a lot of people instead of helping them.
That is very much true. Yes. We won't get into that, although I would love to instigate and to bring that conversation to a deeper level, but I understand. Yes, yeah. Spirituality is a very interesting topic, right?
Yep.
So let's see. I guess I'll ask you this question before we dive into what you do and how you do it and physical health. But I'll ask you this last one. What is your idea of freedom? What is to be free from your perspective?
Well, freedom is to be able to make your own choices, but within bounds. In other words, you're free pretty much to go out and do what you want as long as you're not hurting other people. That to me is freedom. And like you said, it all goes back to knowing the truth.
Yes. Well, once you know the truth, in that sense, from my perspective, it's really almost like that choice. It's there, but we don't pick that choice because it's not in alignment with the truth that everything is connected, that we share one reality. So that's for me has been wonderful to just live from that space. So let's see, Philip, you are a clinical research analyst, and you already gave some of the backstory on how you came to do what you do today. So I guess the other question is about something that you speak of, about simplicity. That caught my attention. So you say the simplicity of good health starts with understanding the simplicity of how we are wonderfully made. Talk to me about that and how simple are we?
Okay. Understanding the fact that all disease starts at the cell level and not at the organ or system level is a big key to really understanding why we get our health issues in the first place. Because as you already know, every cell in our body has its own DNA in order for our healthy cells to continue producing themselves. But scientists have also discovered in order for each individual healthy cell to replicate itself, it needs to have the proper energy or electrons to do so. So where do our cells normally get the electrons? Scientists have discovered that each cell in our body also has what is called mitochondria. And I want to try to keep this simple for you.
Yes.
But it's the second thing in our cells that actually produces all of the electrons or energy that our cells need in order to multiply and reproduce themselves. That's why published clinical studies have proven that a healthy body, which has the energy or electrons to do so, can actually reproduce all new red blood cells in 120 days, all new bladder, pancreas, and colon cells in 45 days. Dr. Chopra proved that a healthy body can actually regenerate a whole new liver in 45 days. And Dr. Amen proved that a healthy brain can regenerate all new healthy cells in 60 days. But see, none of this can happen unless they have the property energy or electrons to do so. Okay, so what goes wrong? Well, to understand the answer to the question, I first need to explain that when we are born, every cell in our body has trillions of free radical atoms that have a positive charge and trillions of antioxidant atoms that have a negative charge. As long as they stay in balance, we maintain our good health. Unfortunately, as we get older, our bodies start producing more free radical atoms than antioxidant atoms, and scientists actually call this the aging process. I call this the curse of Adam, but that's another story.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. And what I've learned basically is that everything that we eat or drink is either full of free radical atoms or which have a positive electrical charge to them, or antioxidant atoms that have a negative electrical charge. So to keep it simple, in reference to energy, negative is good and positive is bad. See, the definition of electricity is the flow of electrons. And that is what every cell in our body needs to reproduce themselves and make the chemicals that our body needs to stay healthy. Whereas positively charged free radical atoms can unfortunately damage every molecule in our cells, even mutating our DNA. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Our beta cells in our pancreas controls our insulin production. When our beta cells lose some of their electrons from free radical overload, they can no longer control the insulin production, so you get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. When our beta cells lose all of their energy or electrons, they can no longer function at all, so now you have type 1 diabetes. It's all electrical.
That's amazing.
Okay? Now, it's really that simple. Now, Uh, so our cells, when our cells lose their electrons or energy, which makes them function properly, you now, you know how your doctors say, like I said, I mentioned this earlier, that when you have a health issue or it's something in your diet, okay? Like I said, they normally either can't or won't explain it to you because, if I have cancer, what in my diet is causing it? All right. Well, as an example, if you drink soda, Red Bull, Gatorade, any of these so-called energy drinks, they all have a positive electrical charge to them of 500 millivolts of free radicals in every drop. And these free radicals rob the electrons or energy out of your cells. Wherever your weakest cells are in your body will normally determine what health condition you get. You see, scientists have discovered that our cells need to maintain a minimum negative charge of 25 millivolts in order to work and function properly. Now, here's the biggie. When our cells lose all of their electrons and they attain a positive charge of 30 millivolts, they now become tumorous. See, scientists have discovered that all healthy tissue has a negative charge. All cancerous tissue has a positive charge. Matter of fact, Professor Levin from Tufts University took live cells. He lowered the voltage from a negative 25 to a positive 30. They became tumorous. When he raised it back up to a negative 60, it destroyed the tumors. So he went on to say, we have proven it that determine whether you get cancer or not. He said, it's like an on and off switch. I had a lady with leukemia for 7 years. I showed her how to flood her body with electrons. In 6 weeks, she went in for a regular blood test. Doctor called her up the next day, said, you need to come back in. She said, why? She said, something happened with your blood test. He said, what do you mean? Well, it doesn't show you have leukemia. She tried telling him what she's doing. He said, oh, no, that won't work. She said, well, I'll come in, but I ain't going to pay for it. He said, I'll pay for it. Get in here. He did another blood test. She didn't have leukemia anymore. No, because like I said, all cancerous tissue has a positive charge. So you need to flood your body with free radical atoms if you want to regain your health. Okay? Just to repeat this, when our cells lose their electrons, they can no longer function properly, and that's when disease and illness will set in. And when our cells attain a positive charge of 30 millivolts, they become tumorous. The problem is we're the only ones who can control the voltage in our cells by what we feed them. Okay? Therefore, we're the only ones that can control our health. So if you want to maintain your health, you must give your cells the electrons they need to repair any damage that, and make healthy cells again. See, if you ate a whole food plant-based diet, you're getting electrons in that food. Okay? But most people will not do that. So if you're not going to do that, because once you have a serious health issue, you actually can't eat enough fruits and vegetables to do it. You have to drink fresh molecular hydrogen water that has a negative charge of 500 to 700 millivolts in every drop. And from my personal research and testing, there's only one company that makes a good molecular hydrogen generator that hooks right up to your kitchen sink. And it's the only one that's actually considered a medical device in Japan and in most of the hospitals there.
Gosh, I have lots of questions for you. I guess the first one is, this sounds wonderful though, in the results, because a lot of people, like including myself, don't quite understand how it works exactly, although it sounds simple the way you put it though, the way you explain. But it's still using terms that in a way becomes too intellectual. Now, what I really want to know is, what do I have to do every day, like on a daily basis to be healthy? So the question is, would you mind to share your daily health routine from morning to evening? That might help.
Yes. In 17 years since I've been drinking the molecular hydrogen, I have not had any health issues. But I drink pretty much myself. I drink a gallon of molecular hydrogen water a day. I eat pretty much anything I want. And that's because this water keeps your body detoxed. And because of that, it takes the stress off your liver and your kidneys. Okay? Now, if I stayed off the sugars, because I'm a sugarholic, I love sweets, and it's not really healthy for me. If I stayed off of that, I would even probably have more energy than I do now. But I want to give you one other example. And this guy came up to me, called himself Dr. Santini. He said there's a naturopath in the States. But his wife had a stroke 2 years ago, and she couldn't talk because of the brain damage from the stroke. So I loaned him one of these machines from Japan that makes the molecular hydrogen water. And I said, I know this will repair the brain damage. I just don't know how long it will take. Make sure she drinks this much every day. Well, I found out it took 2.5 months. We woke him up in the middle of the night carrying on station. He called me up crying like a baby. He was so happy to have his wife back again, you know? And I've helped people with just about every health issue you can think of. I had one guy, his sugar levels were at 500. Doctor had him on 4 pills at night, 4 pills in the morning, plus a shot that got him down to 230. 2.5 weeks of him drinking the molecular hydrogen, his sugar levels dropped to 100. Then they dropped to 80. He had to get off all of his medication. Or was it 15.8? This guy was dying. In 30 days, it dropped to 8.1, and I got copies of his medical records because doctor couldn't believe it changed so quickly. It's just a matter of giving your body what it needs to repair itself and staying away from soda, Red Bull, Gatorade, because one soda, you have to drink 30 glasses of the molecular hydrogen and get rid of the acid and the free radicals in one soda. Unfortunately, I hate water, but it's all I drink. But it's because I can eat anything I want, so it makes up for it.
Right. I love your honesty too. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. So we don't need to change our diets. In my case, my husband and I, we're very healthy oriented. So we don't get sick often. As I said, I mentioned off record. In my case, it's been over 10 years. But then I actually attributed this, these states of health to something else, more the way I have changed the belief systems and that I had and also the thought patterns. And I wonder if that, I know it's off the topic a bit, but I'm just wondering here if we are doing everything right in the sense of drinking the molecular hydrogen water, but then still harboring this, negativity at the level of the mind and not sleeping well because of them. Would that still work, Philip, in a way, if we are kind of doing, the opposite?
That's a very good question. It actually helps. But what happens is when you are really stressed because of things going on in your life, okay, your body's producing adrenaline, which is very acidic and a very strong free radical, and that will cause health issues. Now, this can help prevent the health issues. It may not, you still may have trouble sleeping at night because it's your mind that's going all the time, But there was something else I was going to say about it. Oh, yeah. Just for those who are listening, I have a website. It's called thediseaseeliminationspecialist.com. So everything that I'm saying to you, if they go to that website, there's over 50 documented clinical studies that say everything that I'm saying as far as the cause of your health issues. And when you push it, it actually takes you to PubMed, which is where they're published. And I also have over 50 different clinical studies on molecular hydrogen, how it reverses all of these health issues.
Yes.
Can I read just one to you real quick?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is from the National Institute of Health. And the title of this clinical study, which is based on 111 other studies, it says oxidative stress, which is a term only used for free radical damage, okay? Oxidative stress, inflammation, and cancer, how are they linked? And it goes on to say that extensive research during the last 2 decades has revealed the mechanism by which continued oxidative stress or free radical damage can lead to chronic inflammation, which in turn could mediate or cause most chronic diseases, including cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, neurological disease, pulmonary disease. So they know what causes every disease in the book. They just don't make it public for the general public to know. But if you go to the government's website, PubMed, you can actually print that up for yourself or go to my website and it's on there.
Yes, and I'll have the website link here for anyone who wants to go into it and read about it. I take your word for it, that's for sure. I have interviewed other people and I know the power of it. Molecular hydrogen water. So you mentioned the generator, the machine. If we want to buy one, how do we go buy?
Well, the best way to do it is either email me or call me, and I can text you a link where you just push on the link and it'll take you right to where you can order the machine for yourself. Okay. My main thing is I like educating people and letting them get all the information, because on my website, I also have I think 30 testimonials of anywhere from kids with autism to people with just about every health issue you can think of. There's one last study I want to mention. It's from the pharmaceutical industry, and they actually call this hydrogen medicine. And they talk about how it reverses dementia, Parkinson's, depression, diabetes, arteriosclerosis, hypertension, obesity. I mean, it goes on and on. So even the pharmaceutical industry knows this. They just don't make it known to everybody else.
Yeah, sadly, right? But you see, that's the beautiful thing about individual empowerment, which I really believe in. When we start making the right choices, and that's what happens, which we start making the right choices for ourselves individually, and then somehow it becomes a universal kind of deed. It's what you're doing now, sharing the good news with everyone. I love that journey from individual to universal to collective. That's what I call spiritual too. So this is disclosed here. That's my kind of spirituality.
Well, see, I'm a cancer survivor, but now I help people get rid of cancer naturally instead of being poisoned with chemo and radiation, because it's not really good for you at all.
Right. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. I never had the experience myself, but I have interviewed lots of people on that too. Another question I have, Philip, for you is about the generator, so the molecular hydrogen water generator. You have been using for how long now? 10 years?
Well, basically 17 years.
Okay. So what has been the evolution of the machine? Did they make an improvement? It changed throughout these years, or it's the same?
Yes, they have. But the machine I bought was, like I said, 17 years ago. They're made to last for 15 years. Every 15 years, you need to have the plates recoated. But they did come out with a newer machine that has, instead of 6 plates, it has 7 plates. I'm sorry, instead of 7, it has 8 plates, something like that. It's about $1,000 more. But the nice thing about it, it does hold the electrons longer. But either one of the machines, because I paid 16 years ago, I paid $4,900 for this. $3,900. If I get it right, yeah. 16 years ago, and it's the same price today as it was 17 years ago.
Wow. So it has been around for a long time, and that's interesting that I never heard about that. I just heard it this year.
Well, you have to understand, all the people who market the machines, they're not clinical research analysts, so they cannot really talk about the health benefits. But because I have all the documented clinical studies, because I have to understand if something is helping me, I want to understand why.
Right.
You can actually take 2 swallows of this water and you feel the difference immediately.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example I'm talking about. Have you ever took a shot of whiskey or tequila straight down?
I have not. No, not me. Okay. My husband probably has.
For those who have, you notice you feel it right away because the molecules are so small, they penetrate your blood-brain barrier as you're drinking it, but it dehydrates your brain. And that's why you have trouble with balance and strength. Molecular hydrogen is the smallest molecule known to man. So when you drink it, it hydrates your brain immediately. So anybody with balance issues and strength, you feel a difference right away.
Wow. Sold.
And with just a few, with just a few swallows. People freak out when they see the difference, because because of that, it actually gets into every cell in your body. And that's why it can help repair any damage in your body.
That's amazing. Is that a form of gas? Actually, hydrogen is a gas, right, Philip? It's not.
No, hydrogen can be a gas, but it can also be a liquid.
Okay, both.
Yeah, see, what happens when the water goes through this machine, it has, I think it's 240 or 80 volts of electricity that separates the acid water from the alkaline water. The alkaline water has a high negative charge of 500 to 700 millivolts of electrons, which makes it the strongest antioxidant known to man. The acidic water has a very high positive electrical charge, which is not healthy. So that water you normally let go down the sink.
I guess I asked the question because I interviewed somebody here, and I remember him saying that we need to drink it right away. Once you have it in a glass, you can't really let it sit for a while.
Yes, but that's because the electrons deplete over time. Yeah. So when you pour a glass, you should just drink it straight down. Now, the nice thing is, because the molecule's so small, it does not bloat you like regular tap water.
Right.
See, if you drink a whole lot of regular water, you could actually drown.
Mm.
This water, because it's getting into every cell in your body, you basically in within 10 minutes you're not full anymore. This water will make you full, but it won't bloat you. So it's kind of a big difference in the two.
Yes, it sounds like, gosh, it sounds really great to me. I guess another question is about maintenance of the machine. Is that expensive? Is that challenging?
Not really. It has a filter that needs to be replaced every 3,000 gallons. Most people, it'll take them probably a couple of years to drink that much. And when it is time to replace it, the machine actually talks to you. So it'll say filter replacement, so you know when it's time to do it. But it also makes 7 different kinds of water, which all have different purposes. Okay, we have a lady by the name of, a doctor by the name of Dr. Corey Nallen. She has 2 brain clinics. And when she started giving this 9.5 alkaline level with the electrons to her kids with autism, she saw 30 to 50% improvement right across the board. So then she looked into the clinical research and found out she could give the 11.5, which is very, very 100 times stronger, to her people with serious health issues. Like she had a lady with Alzheimer's so bad she couldn't function in a group. Within 7 months, she had her back functioning normally. It makes a huge, when you give your brain the electrons it needs, the Alzheimer's, dementia, the Parkinson's. Now, I do want to make one reference to Parkinson's and Lou Gehrig's. You have to catch them early, or you will not be able to reverse them because it starts your mitochondria starts producing so many free radicals you can't overcome it. But I did have a gentleman that was about 37 years old. The whole right side of his body was paralyzed with Lou Gehrig's. His sister came to one of my health workshops, and she was a nurse. So she took 2 gallons home to him. She couldn't explain it, but she just told him, please drink this down as quick as you can. Before he finished the 2nd gallon, he was getting the feeling back on the right side of his body. So you have to catch those 2 very early in order to reverse them. Most other stuff, cancer, as long as you catch it in stage 4, you're okay. Stage 5 sometimes might not be so easy.
That's an interesting observation. It makes sense to me, yeah, for those diseases.
Yeah. And I want to make one thing perfectly clear. The water's not curing you of anything. It's just giving your body what it needs to repair itself. Yeah. And make healthy cells again so you can regain your health.
That's a very, very important note, right? As the body is actually doing the work.
Exactly.
So you just mentioned 7, the machine gives you 7 different kinds of water. Is that the amount of hydrogen molecules that it's in it?
Yes, it does, whether it's hydrogen or protons. But see, 2.5, which is very strong acidic water, that is actually, believe it or not, what they call hyperchlorous acid, which is what your white blood cells produce to kill viruses. So that actually works on people with viruses, and they've already proven it's killed the coronavirus. Then it goes to, from there, you have your, let's say, level 6, which is what they call beauty water, which is really good for your skin and your hair. You have 7, which is neutral, and that's good for taking medications. And then you have 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5 is the basic. But when you're getting the 2.5 out of the acidic hose, you're getting 11.5 out of the alkaline hose. So that's where you get your really strong alkaline water.
And then the one that you drink every day, that would be
9.5.
That's the one you recommend that most people.
That's what I recommend to everybody. Now, if people have serious health issues, because I did have a lady that was bedridden for 7 years with fibromyalgia. The pain was too much. She couldn't get out of bed. It took her 2 weeks to detox because she was so toxic. But after 2 weeks, she was out shopping in the malls, had no more pain.
And she was drinking the 9.5? Or...
Yes.
Oh, she was. Wow.
Yeah. And on my website, you'll see a bunch of testimonials of people, how this has helped them. Like I said, just about every health issue you can think of. And also some doctors' recommendations on there.
Amazing. Wow, you sold it to me. That's for sure. Amazing. Yes, really, really amazing. I guess a question that I was curious about is that, do you take any supplements?
I do take vitamin B and vitamin D, but that's all I really do. And I'm 68 years old and I still play pickleball and volleyball and are very active.
So that's also great to know. So you have your diet's not, it is good, but you love sugar. So you go here and there, you kind of dance around, right?
And I like my, I like my steaks. I like my
Yes.
ribeye steaks, and
Yeah.
I like all kinds of food, and I like sweets. But
Yeah.
if I, like I said, if I ate even healthier,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
probably not be able to stand myself. But
Yes. Wow. So, and you sleep well too, right, Philip?
yeah,
Sleeping is
my
good.
head hits a pillow, within 1 or 2 minutes, I'm out.
So that's it. And stress management too. You seem to be very relaxed.
Yeah.
So that's very important. So wow, I think you covered all my questions here. Let me see if I have any more questions for you. Where to find it, that would be contacting you. I have the website here, which is the diseaseeliminationspecialist.com. That link will be on the podcast notes as well.
Okay.
And they can call you or email you.
Yes, and let me go ahead and give you my phone number they can put on there, which is 813-244-1135.
1135.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for the permission to have the phone to there. So I will publish the website and your phone. So again, it's 813-244-1135. Is that correct?
Yeah, you said 813, right?
813, yes.
Yep, that's
it. My head was down. So I'll have the number there too, so make a note. So we're almost at the end. It has been wonderful to talk to you about these things because, molecular hydrogen water, it's almost, some people has called the miracle water. I remember that.
Yeah, there were 7 places in the world where you could actually get this water naturally. And scientists discovered what the difference was between the water in those 7 places that was healing people compared to the water we drink here. And the main difference was the molecular hydrogen. And that's why this gentleman in Japan developed a device that emulated the water in those 7 places. They declared it a medical device there, and it's in just about every hospital there.
That's amazing. And those places, one is in Japan, of course, right? One of these places that you can find this water.
Mexico, Norte, Germany. I forget all of them, but there's 7 different places. But it can't be as good as the water coming through the machine.
Right. Oh, yeah. I do have another question, a technical question, Philip, about that. Is that easy to install? Can anyone install it, or we need to hire somebody?
No, anybody can install it. It hooks right up to your kitchen sink. And they do have one that goes under the counter, but I like the one above the sink because if I go out of town for more than 2 weeks, I take my machine with me in my backpack.
Yeah, so that's okay. That's a good suggestion, right? To live on top. Great. You've been very, very informative, but not just that. You have given me and the audience a reason to, not just to believe, because it's not a belief system, but a reason to make change, to know that it's possible to live a life that's healthy from that perspective. Exactly. Once we clean the body from toxins, then it's almost like liberating ourselves mentally too. It really feels that way. Exactly. That's why so much of the, I don't know, you probably have heard about psychedelics. That's exactly what it does as well. There's a cleansing that happens and people are able to see clearly too. So to me, everything is spiritual. So it sounds like you're doing some amazing spiritual work.
Well, it was actually, like I said, the reason I went to Ecuador is I was getting really sick of watching these commercials with little kids with leukemia because their hair's falling out, their eyes are sunking in because they're poisoning it with chemo and radiation when the higher ups know how to get rid of it naturally. So I actually went to Ecuador for 8 years to teach people the Bible in English.
How wonderful. Yes. Yeah. So you've been doing the work for a while now.
Yes, I have.
Thank you so much, Philip, for being you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Wow. So my last question, I guess, a technical one, we already have here, your website, where to find your number, but I'll ask you one more question.
Sure.
What 3 experiences you wish everyone to have before they lose the body, before they die?
Well, to me, like I said, the most important is getting to know the truth in the scriptures, because when you have that relationship with God and you know the truth, you're at peace because you know exactly what's going on today according to prophecy, and you're not concerned about what's going on. So you get a lot of calmness there. And the second one to me, with knowing what to do to maintain your health, because, if we have a little child that gets cancer, we're scared to death. We don't know what to do. I mean, we would rather die than our child die. Well, that's why it's important just to get to know the truth. Why do they have cancer? And I can explain exactly why they have it and how to get rid of it naturally.
Yes. Yes. That's a beautiful message too, right? Thank you so much again for your presence in our world and our reality, and we'll be in touch again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Philip Bresnahan and his work, please visit thediseaseeliminationspecialist.com or call him at 813-244-1135.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.